BetterHelp presents Stress-Free Living with Ray Samich and Mr. Stress-Free Ratanjit S. Sandhi. This audio program is an unscripted and unrehearsed conversation between Ray and Ratanjit. It is shared with you in hope of adding value to your life. We encourage you to listen to this program in its entirety to receive the full impact of its message. Sit back, relax, open your heart, mind, and soul to this edition of Stress-Free Living.
And we want to welcome everybody to Stress-Free Living. And this is so funny, that we do things without stress, and we are so stressed this morning. But the good news is our engineer has done it. He has successfully got us on the air here this morning, despite some difficulties. You know, Ratanjit Sandhi, who is my longtime co-host, this is Ray Samich joining you here live today. Sometimes life just throws curveballs at the last possible minute. You think you have everything planned out, and it just doesn't turn out the way that you want it to. So you have to, the buzzword today is pivot. You have to pivot last minute and figure out a new way of doing it. So the good news is that the divine has intervened, and we figured out a way to get us on the radio today. I'm Ray Samich. This is Stress-Free Living. Feeling a little bit of stress right now, and Ratanjit Sandhi, and we have a whole mass of people on our Zoom call today here. Ratanjit, how are you this fine day?
I'm wonderful, Ray. How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was wonderful. So much to be thankful for, again, including some of these moments of stress in our life, but we're able to adapt. I guess maybe the biggest adaptation in the history of mankind is happening with COVID that has affected the entire world. Literally hundreds of millions of people around the world have been affected by this, either directly or with somebody that they know, and in many cases, loss of life. I don't know if there is a more stressful time in the history of the world than right now, if you're looking at it on a global basis. Am I exaggerating, or do you think that this may really be one of the biggest global impacting events of history?
On the surface it is, but underlying there is something which we don't even recognize, what is the biggest problem with the human race. Sometimes we'll take a topic and talk about it. But let's talk about the key to happiness, sustainable and true happiness. That's what we are talking about.
Well, that's always a great topic, because people want to be happy, and they think, and we do, I'll put myself in that category, we think that we all have little things that make us happy. And they do, maybe they do for a short period of time, but then I think so many of us are then disappointed twice as much when they don't realize it's sustained happiness. You know, we want to get that car, we want to get that relationship. If I could only marry him or her, if I could only have that new house, that'll solve all the problems. If I could only get this new job, I'll be so happy if I can work there. Whatever that scenario might be, and then we attain it, we get it, and then maybe, a week or a month or a year later, we're right back to the doldrums. And then at that point, we feel worse than ever, because we were so excited with our expectations of sustained happiness, and it didn't end up being sustained. So you think you have a solution of something that can actually sustain us through our life?
Well, see, those things which you mentioned, Ray, all to get a new car, new home, get married to your love, or even recover from a bad episode, and all those things are really removing the difficulties from our life. That's why they're temporary happiness. So once we are sitting with a good health, sitting in a beautiful home, which is warm, and you have your loved one in the next room or with you, and you have your retirement all planned, and everything is going, you have no worries. Oftentimes, you are still bored. You are not happy. Although all those trigger points, which really cause unhappiness, many times are gone, and you're still not happy. So why, if the happiness comes from having what you want, having what you need, if all your needs and all that are fulfilled, there are several people who suffer depression, who suffer loneliness. Now, loneliness often is not because your loved ones are not around you. They are there in the family. You have a nice family, you still feel lonely. Why do you feel lonely? So these are some pointed questions. If we can answer, we'll find the pathway to sustainable and true happiness.
You mentioned a couple of words there, loneliness, obviously a big one, but you also mentioned being bored. And let's talk about that, a little sidebar here on the conversation. Is boredom the absence of happiness? Is boredom, are we designed to be happy? You know, you often have talked about how we're wired internally, and how we're wired to do good. For example, you said that, you know, that is basically how we are created, is to be value adding, good people. And somehow along the way of life, we kind of get twisted and turned away from that. Some of those wires get bent and then it doesn't work. But that's how we're wired. Are we wired to be happy? And so if we're not happy, we are bored with life. Is there some connection between the absence of happiness and boredom?
But see, if you did not know how we are designed, and you somehow you have been told this is what you are supposed to do, but you have never unveiled how you are truly designed, then you end up going through life going against your natural design. I say it's like if you have a car, my old example, which is designed to go forward. You travel thousands of miles, you have to fuel it, of course, and it's designed to go forward. All the mirror, all the equipment is designed to take it forward. Of course, it can be reversed, but that is only for a short time. You can get out of the garage, you can go back. But if you decide, if there was a race to find out your unique talent of how long you can drive in reverse, and you are now going from one town to another in reverse, what is going to happen?
Nothing good.
Well, first of all, the car is not designed to go in reverse. When we put in reverse, it's only in first gear. So you are going to burn the motor. And second is you're going to have stiff neck, and your visibility of the road is not going to be exactly what is available to you when you go forward. So you are going to have accidents. So that is what has happened in our own life. We have not figured out how are we designed. And as a consequence of not knowing how we are designed, we believe in what we are told initially by our well-meaning parents, then our school teachers, then our society, now our media, our news broadcast, and then our leaders. They're all misguiding us and putting us to travel in a direction we are not designed to. So that is where all our problems coming from.
I do agree with you on everything that you just said. It makes so much sense. But I'm going to go back to that question again because you didn't answer it. So, are we designed? Let me break it down in two parts. You said we have to know how we're designed. Are we designed to be happy? Are we designed to be fulfilled? Is life predetermined that we should have a happy state of mind, or is it a neutral design? Are we designed just to be, totally blank, and then some things make us happy and some things make us sad?
Well, see, if you drive the car in forward and it changes gear automatically, and you can drive calmly, it doesn't make any noise, it doesn't heat up, you can travel hundreds of miles. So it is very peaceful. The car in its own working, when it is moving forward, it is very content. So it is happy. So it is designed to be happy. We are designed to be stress-free. We are designed to be contented. We are designed to be happy. And when we deprive ourselves of that happiness, Ray, we get disenchanted. In spite of all these worldly goods, they temporarily, when they are not there, if there's no food, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be in pain. Now, when somebody realizes that you haven't eaten for 2 days, he takes you to the amazing buffet and you fill your plate 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, you keep on eating. And at the end, you're going to have pain again. Because the window of that thing is very narrow. When you are hungry, you are in pain. When you stuff too much after this turkey dinners, a lot of us realize that. And after you have stuffed yourself too much, you are in pain again.
Mm-hmm.
So that window where we are so-called temporarily happy, which we call happiness as a relieving of the pain of hunger, that is not happiness. That is just getting out of the pain. Similarly, if you don't have a place to live, you are on the road. You are homeless. That is painful. So somebody puts you in a home. Initially, that pain has gone away. So you may call it temporary happiness. But after living there for another year, you're used to that home. You begin to see the drawbacks that home has. You begin to see the compromise you are putting yourself by living in that limited home. So all these things which we call happiness are a temporary relieving of the pain experienced by our 5 senses.
So you're throwing out a lot of different ideas here in the beginning, which is good, but we need to, take a step back and walk through them to understand them each more. I think the first thing that I heard you say, though, that was concrete, is that we are designed to be happy. Yes. And it's an indirect happiness. I should paraphrase. I should change how I said it. We're designed to operate the way we were intended, just like that car is designed to operate going forward. So if we act consistently with how we were designed, then that brings contentment, and that brings happiness, and that brings some level of fulfillment. So just like that car that is operating going forward, it runs well. Just like the tree that bears fruit, it's fulfilling its purpose. So it's happy, right? So all of these things that are around us, mechanical or natural, are consistent with us doing as we were designed to do. And we're content with that. We're happy. I want to throw in that idea of boredom again, because that intrigues me. You mentioned that earlier. Many of us, and I guess I'll blame myself on this, okay? I always want to try new things. I always want to see what else I can get into at this stage of my life. What else can I try? What else can I experience and see if I'm able to do it? So I maybe it's creative, maybe it's stupidity. I'm not sure which end of the spectrum it covers, but I always want to see what else I can try to do. So I think there's a little bit of boredom in there that is causing me to say, gee, could I try to write this? Could I try to create this? Could I try to design this? Could I handle this? Is boredom connected to happiness? If we're not happy, do we get bored? So we need to try to find something else to fulfill that need? Or am I mixing apples and oranges here?
Well, see, our system is giving us hint to go in the direction we are designed for. And when we are operating without knowing in the design, in the area we are designed for, boredom goes away and you have happiness or contentment. And so you mentioned about creativity. When we utilize our creativity, when we recognize our creativity, when we are operating in the creative mode, many times people work somewhere else and they don't like it. They use that job just to fulfill their need. Then they take on certain hobbies, which are totally aligned to what they use their creativity. And when they are performing that hobby, they may work 18 hours fulfilling or working on the hobby. They are happy and contented. They don't get bored. So the hint is that we are created a unique masterpiece. Nature has never really duplicated anything. Look at our fingerprints. Billions of people, every one of us have a different fingerprint. Everyone has a different way of thinking. Everyone has different talent. Everyone has uniqueness. Whereas the society is all locked up in putting us into a herd mentality. They classify us in 3 categories or 4 categories or 10 categories or whatever it is. That's how we are. Whereas we are completely individual. We are completely unique. So once you realize that everyone you meet in life is unique, you automatically have a special respect for that uniqueness in them as well as in you. And then you begin to find what is your uniqueness. And when you're operating in that uniqueness, you will never get bored. So that is one thing which nobody tells us. We are labeled.
You know, I have to smile when you talk about how every single one of us is unique. And that not only covers, you know, the 2 billion people that live right now in the world, but it even covers all the billions of people that have ever lived.
7.5 billion, Ray.
Sorry, 7 billion. You're right. You're right. And India has what, 2 billion of those?
1.4.
Okay. You're the master of the numbers. So 7 billion people in the world and many more billion of people that have lived and have passed. And yet you think everyone is unique. And yet I smile because I go to conferences all the time and they put the slides up on the screen that says there's basically 3 types of people or 5 categories of people that you have to market to or make decisions and things like that. And I chuckle because it's like, no, that is just so not true. I know that there's certain categories we can lump people into, but there's far, far more. Like I said, every single one of us is unique, not only how we were designed, but what has happened to us over our life that has given us different perspectives and outlooks. We are just skimming the surface here, just starting on what we're going to talk about today in hopes of finding true happiness. And we've already maybe come up with one realization here that is so important to base this on, and that is that we are wired to be happy. We are wired to be content with our life. That's how we were designed. So if we're not, then we need to figure out why we're not and get back to the design that we were intended to have. And that's what we'll do on this edition of Stress-Free Living. Please stay with us. All right, so we do have a moment here. And Darby, I know you were chatting with us here. But if
yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm feeling better and better. Thank you.
Who is this film star's picture you have put on the screen?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm listening and I'm really enjoying this. And there was another word that kind of caught my attention, enchantment. And to me, I've had experiences where I was happy because of the moment, the situation, and it was like, you know, I was just in enchantment. And I just don't feel that that's a way that we are to live every moment. Can you kind of expound on that a bit, Ratanjit?
Okay.
Let me understand that question. So are you saying is contentment enough? Are you saying that that's a first level of happiness? What do you mean, Darby?
No, I don't think it's enough. Just that one thing, but I don't think that we can live in that state of we're just feeling like we're in an enchanted moment constantly. And when he mentioned temporal, that's how I saw it. Just emotions, feelings, happiness, contentment, all of that comes to us, but it's not a constant thing.
Yes.
Because we're going to have these ups and downs and, you know, these other things that will come in our lives.
So we're talking about momentary contentment versus long-term happiness. Is that the distinction you're making? Okay.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Got it. Okay. Anybody else? We have, I think,
we have
30 seconds.
Hi, how are you? My goodness.
I think we have 30 seconds here. I'm trying to listen to see where we're at. We have one more ad, Jacob? Nope, we're back. Everybody mute that, please. We're coming back. This is Stress-Free Living. I'm Ray Samich, along with Ratanjit and Ray, and we want to thank our many people that are joining us here on the Zoom call today. We can see their faces from across the country, and even one friend with us from Canada here today. And if you'd like to join us on our Zoom calls, you can do that by clicking on the link on our Facebook page, or also on our website, or also on our YouTube page. We have added that there, where you can also watch on a on-demand basis so many of our past programs, or you can listen to them, whatever you choose to do, on our YouTube channel, which is Stress-Free Living Radio. Put that into your search on YouTube, Stress-Free Living Radio, and you can get Ratanjit with you anytime that you want. On any journey, on any car, whether you're going forward or backward, you can listen to Ratanjit with you right there in the car. Ratanjit, and I apologize to everybody here because we were a little bit stressed at the moment we began the show here today, because right up until it worked, it wasn't working. So thank goodness that we were able to get the technical issues resolved here. And I didn't give you a proper introduction. I think most everybody who is on the call or on the radio listening to us, however they're catching us, knows who you are. But I wanted to give you a proper introduction as, what is this, 26 years, Ratanjit, that we have been doing this together?
Yeah. July 8th, 1995, we began.
Unbelievable. And Ratanjit's background, of course, is as a very successful business person, scientist, chemist, but also so much more than that on the business side. But what is so unique about his ability to talk with us, our entire world here on a weekly basis, is the combination of real world application that you obtain by running businesses, by interacting with people on a global basis, feeling their pain, understanding their needs, working with them on a day-to-day practical basis, but also this intense, immense understanding of what's out there beyond the practical world, the world that we live in, the world that we see. And it's that combination. I think you have termed that applied spirituality. Maybe that's not your own word, or phrase, but it sure is meaningful to me that we can apply spiritual concepts and understanding of life to life and to the things that we encounter every day. So with that bit of a background, today we're talking about how to find true happiness, because I don't think there's a human being that has ever walked the earth, as much as we are all different. Billions and billions are different, but I think looking for happiness may be that one unifier, maybe above all. We all want to feel happy. And as one of our Zoom guests talked about there during the break, we kind of all have momentary happiness. We have moments of fulfillment, moments of contentment. And yet the real key is to have that on a sustained basis. Let's talk about those moments of contentment, Ratanjit, those moments of fulfillment, those joyous moments that, incidentally, as you go through the holidays, you reflect on, or as you have your later years of life, those moments when you were fulfilled, when you were happy, come to your mind. Those are the memories that we go back to. And what is different about those that bring us those moments of happiness, those moments of contentment? And why can't we get those sustained? Why, if they feel so good, and if they are so enjoyable for us and so meaningful, why don't we allow those to continue? What is it about us that changes the pattern after we feel those momentary times of fulfillment, contentment?
See, Ray, we talked about quick happiness, which is a relief of pain experienced by our five senses. When you're hungry, the food is required, and so on and so forth. The direction of all that relieving pain is from others to me. Food is coming in me, house is given to me, and my loved one comes in my life. So direction is towards me. And then you suddenly, you are having a rough day, and you're going through in a place, and you saw this little girl sitting in the corner, and you took a hamburger or some food and gave it to her, and she felt a smile on her face, and you will never see her again in life. And that moment brought a moment of joy in you that is different than the other happiness, which you call happiness, by relieving your pains and suffering. So there are two kinds of, we can call them happiness. One's direction is towards you, others' direction is from you to others. When we make a difference in others' life, it gives us a moment of joy. And we forget our suffering and pain at that moment. And that is the clue to lasting and true happiness. Do I make sense?
Oh, yeah, tremendous sense. But my question is, when you have that moment, and that's a difficult one. So as great an example as that was, we can come back to that for other reasons, but that's not a typical thing. If you did do that one-time reaction to a need, and you had that moment of joy, and then you did leave that child, and so that's over. But there's so many times that we exhibit feelings and we have encounters that we can sustain. Okay, we can continue to do them, continue to act a certain way in our life, whether they're outward or inward. So whether we're doing something for other people, and yet we don't continue that. What is it about our human nature that won't allow us to continue to do the things that we know bring us happiness? You know, I don't, why would we defeat that feeling when we know it is so wonderful?
Again, let's go back to how we are designed. We are designed uniquely. We have been given unique talent, unique perspective, uniqueness. And once we discover those uniqueness in us, then the other question is, what are we designed to do? Why are we sent here? See, although our parents claim that they have made us, but what designed us is the universal wisdom. Mother does not know how to design the baby. It just happens without her knowledge within her. So how has the nature designed us? Because you see the same psychology of that design in everything nature has designed. So to get a glimpse of that, let's look at the fruit trees outside. They bear tremendous amount of pain and suffering, go through cold weather, warm weather, and rain and drought, and eventually, if they survive, they begin to bear fruits. Now, the fruit is the success of that tree. That is all it is designed to do. So what does it do with its success? It doesn't hold it for itself. Whoever comes, whether it's a criminal or a saint, the fruit tastes the same. So we are sent here with unique talents to produce unique value-adding successes. Whether we do that at a job or we do that in our family. So we are here, a simplest word is I use constantly, we are designed to add the highest value. And we are in that platform, then we will always be happy because we will cultivate new knowledge, new learning, new talents, and uniqueness. And when we have these unique talents.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
We begin to feel.
I'm just listening to this.
Better about ourselves. So it is that uniqueness which we have to utilize to add the highest value, whether we are at work or we are traveling and we find a lady stranded with a punctured tire, whether we can help her to change the tire, or whatever we do, whenever we add value, whenever we make a difference, whenever we serve, we feel better about ourselves, and the joy and happiness we feel within us is lasting and is continuous. So that is our journey. If we continue the journey of adding the highest value, we will stay happier.
So Ratanjit, let's take that, and I'm going to give some input here that we've received from some of our Zoom people as well. There's many people perhaps that don't know what you just talked about, and this may be a new introduction for them. The whole idea of the fulfillment we get by adding value, adding the highest value, may be a new concept to many people, and I hope that accomplishes something today for a lot of people's lives. But there's a lot of older people that are listening now, part of this, who have understood that, whether they've gotten that through life itself or whether they've listened to you over the years, personally know you, whatever it is. So there's a lot of people that do totally buy into what you say. And we are trying to do that, but we can't seem to stay on that sustained path. And so we get these momentary experiences where we get that fulfillment, we get that joy, the happiness moves and transforms into joy. And we get that feeling that is just overwhelming, that this is what we are supposed to do. But then we get bombarded by the world. We get the media telling us all these things. We get the marketing people trying to tell us that you're not happy until you get this car or get this house or get this perfume or get this boat or go on this vacation or whatever it is. And then we have the reality of the world. We have the job site that isn't as perfect as we want it to be. We have the relationship that is a little short of what we thought it would be, whatever it is. And these things take us down and take us a step back. And maybe we lose focus because of that. Maybe we lose an understanding, but we know how good this is. We know how good your idea is and the fulfillment of it, but we can't stay there. How can we stay there? How can we get these moments of contentment and happiness and turn that into a lifetime of joy and ignore the noise?
Well, see, if you look at lotus, a beautiful flower, flawless flower, but you find lotus in the muddy water. When you see rose bush, you see there are thorns with rose. So if you are focusing on thorn, not on rose, if you are focusing on the noise around you, not on the opportunity within the noise to add value, because if your steadfast focus is on opportunity to add value, you will find them. It is all our opportunities to add value come wrapped in difficulties, whereas we don't see them as opportunity to add value. Doctors, if they want to add value, they have to be around sick people. They have to hear their difficulties, then only they can resolve them. If you are a person who is in maintenance of a plant, you're a maintenance engineer. All the broken up machinery or the difficulties are going to be coming your ways. You have to find solution to those difficulties. So life is basically full of opportunity to experience or value adding joy. And we miss out that by claiming, oh, this is so difficult, this is so bad, this is so that. Those are merely opportunity to add the highest value, Ray.
Wow, this is starting to make some sense to me, and I hope to some of our listeners as well, because I talked about boredom and wanting to do different things and sustain contentment. But you just introduced, with your last few comments, a little different addition to this, and that is the perspective with which we approach life. Because if we have the perspective that says, I want to go in and everything is peaceful, and I want to be in an environment where everything is relaxed and everybody is content, then the reality is we probably will get bored with that. We probably will not be sustainable in that environment because we're not fulfilled. We don't have any of the opportunities to do anything that you've talked about. So our perspective almost should be, as crazy as this sounds, our perspective almost should be that I want to every day go into a environment that needs to be fixed, where I need to add value to it.
Yes.
It's almost like I should want to go into stressful situations and de-stress them. I should want to go into situations where people it isn't functional, things aren't working right, there's problems, because those give me opportunities not to be bored, but to be content because I'm going to make a difference there and add value. And that is totally such a different concept than I think most of us enter every morning. We don't wake up hoping for a challenge. We wake up hoping for peace. And ironically, maybe it's the peace that we're looking for that is not giving us the contentment. That sounds so crazy to say those words, but it's almost like we should be looking for challenges so that we can add value and be fulfilled. Does that make sense?
Well, see, we live with expectations. You are supposed to behave in certain ways. If you are angry, if you come in and you're supposed to be my friend and you suddenly come and start shouting at me. So I can be, oh my God, what happened to me? I didn't do anything. So suddenly your ego is hurt and you feel bad. But then the other side of the coin is you are angry for a reason. So if you find out why you are angry and can find help to relieve that anger. So in order for me to do that, I have to accept every situation I confront completely. It's like if you are a poker player or a card player, you have to first accept the cards you are dealt with, or else you cannot play or win the game. So whatever situation you are placed under, stop judging that. Accept and then look for opportunities how to correct that. And this situation, if you not look for opportunity to correct or add value, will only cause stress because you are now expecting something else, you're finding totally something else.
All right, we do need to take another quick break. We will be back in just a moment and talk a little bit more about finding that ultimate long-term happiness in our lives. This is Stress-Free Living. Please stay with us. All right, we are, when we come back here, we will have about 10 minutes left only. Went a little bit long there. Anybody have a quick comment, please?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Pete,
Can I speak?
Yep.
yes, but please, about 30 seconds.
Hold
Okay,
on. Let me give a chance to Pierre first, and then we'll get to Mr. Singh.
Okay.
Pierre, please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. It's great to be with you guys today. Just a quick thing, and I was listening. You talk about boredom, right? And boredom in my mind is the lack of purpose. When you're living your life with a lack of purpose, or with a purpose that's not defined, you're gonna get bored. I truly believe that we're inherently good. There's good in all of us, and as you go through life, you get. I typed in. We get bombarded with noise that kind of shift us away from that goodness. It make that goodness kind of under the, kind of layers and layers. And the best way really to get out of that is to do what you're designed to do, which is to go and serve and to go and unconditionally serve and add value. And when you do that, it's amazing the level of joy that you would feel. Not only that, but when you start working through that, you'll also get to understand what you inherently is good at. What is it that really fundamental goodness that's within you that you have been given to go and change lives and make lives better. But you have to inherently put that into your software system. You have to put that in and make it part of everyday life, because that's how you sustain it. If you're going to do it and you're only going to do it because...
And we are back on Stress-Free Living. Thank you so much for being with us here today. We have our great conversations with our wonderful Zoom callers during the breaks, and we apologize that we had to stop there in the midst of one and not get to everybody who had a comment. But Ratanjit, lots of people have input. A lot of people have feelings about this topic. again, I don't think there's a more universal topic out there than wanting to find happiness and wanting to sustain that happiness. Let's go in the direction that one of our guests just did suggest for us, and that is how we do move from contentment, because many of us are there. Okay, just like all 7 billion people are different. There's a lot of people that are at different levels of their journey to happiness, and there are some people that are miserable right now, just totally unhappy. And maybe we can do a show talking to them and understanding how they can at least move from the level of being miserable with life to being content. But there's also a lot of people, I think maybe the majority of people, who are in this middle level. We're content. We're okay. We have good days and bad days. We have ups and downs. We have tragedies, but we have victories. And so most of us are kind of living in that middle stream of life. We want to get to that higher level. We want to get to that point of that joy on a daily basis, waking up every morning and being excited to live, excited to face whatever challenges come our way. How do you suggest that we make that transition? How do we, is it just purely in the mind? Is it just purely a perspective? Or do we have to do something else to invigorate our bodies and our minds and our being to be able to move to that state of joy?
See, nature has given our brain a unique capacity. Whatever thought comes in us repeatedly, whatever we do repeatedly, converts into habit. And then when you are parked in a habit, whether it's habit of constantly looking at the negative side of life, habit of constantly feeling pity about yourself, constantly looking at the fault in situation, constantly, those things are basically habits. So then you are not controlled by knowledge or a show like this or a beautiful book. You will temporarily feel, yeah, this is the way I want to do. But then you go back to your habit. So ultimately, we do not live our knowledge, we live our habits. And many a times, if from the beginning, we have not cultivated this habit of finding uniqueness in us, finding and putting our mind to finding a solution. One of our caller talked about to remove loneliness is to find a purpose. But if your purpose is driven by your fear, by your greed, by your ego, then you will always be looking at the negative side. If the purpose is driven by understanding how we are designed, by looking at the nature, that we are designed to produce unique successes and to add the highest value, then that becomes your mission. Your mission, then when it begins to guide you, then everything falls into place. And that mission or that habit of constantly looking at opportunity to add value has to be cultivated. Once you have that habit of constantly finding goodness in everything, constantly finding goodness in you, not through ego mode, because you are designed by uniqueness, by the universal power, and that has gifted you uniqueness. And based on that, you utilize your unique capabilities to add the highest value. But all that, Ray, cannot come until you find the real key to all this. We talked about the key to sustainable happiness and a true happiness. And the key is, once you are thinking that you don't have enough, then you will be parked in the negative side. The key comes from being unconditionally grateful. If you are grateful for the challenges presented in your life, when you are grateful for the talent gifted to you, if you are grateful to discover your purpose of adding the highest value, then you perform everything egolessly. And it gives you inner joy, and that joy converts into true happiness, and it is sustainable because it is driven by the key of gratefulness. Remember, when you are grateful, if somebody saved your life, at that point, you don't have any ego, you don't have any concerns. You are basically grateful. You are ready to do anything. You are indirectly in the mode to add the highest value to the person who has saved you. So we should see the Savior in every living human being we come across. And we should be inspired to add the highest value to everyone we come across. And do not judge that person by their habit, their color, their race, their gender, or their activity or their past. We should judge them by the power which enlivens them, which is unique, and this is what we are here to serve.
We have done so many shows on gratefulness, and there's no question about it. I think everybody knows that in their hearts. I think that this is a reminder to them of something that we know, that if we have a grateful heart, then it really changes everything in terms of our perspective and our desire and our willingness to go forth. So thank you for that very incredibly important reminder. But the thing that really sticks out today for me in this show is that we need to be grateful for the things, for the challenges. We need to be grateful for those opportunities to go into the raging waters and actually make a difference to settle those waters down. I have never been grateful for those. I must share this. Those have made me ungrateful. When troubles come, then and they surround you, then the first response, I think, typically is, why me? I try to be a good person. Why do I have these difficulties? And yet you have opened up today some reality to me that I was intended to be here for those challenges. I was prepared and maybe designed to be put into those situations to be that calming force, to be that fixer or whatever it is. That's an amazing revelation, that we should view those difficult situations with gratefulness. And you are saying that, right? I don't want to misdirect anybody.
Absolutely. See, we have to understand our joy or true happiness comes from adding highest value. And until you find opportunity to add highest value, how are you going to have that happiness? So the moment you are put into difficulty, with how horrible it may look on the surface, but it is really an opportunity to add the highest value. All your life, all the things you remember are not those fancy shows you went to or big dinners you had. You remember where you helped somebody who is in need by facing a difficulty and coming up with a solution.
That is a true revelation of ways that we can have sustained happiness by looking for those. And there's an expression with firefighters, is that when when everybody is running away from the fire, the firefighters are the people that are running towards it. And, most of us try to run away from challenges, from difficulties. And if we can trade ourselves to say, no, we actually want to look for those opportunities to add value. It's hard to believe, but I do believe you that that is the way that we can have sustained happiness, by trying to find those challenges and make a difference in each and every one of those based on who we were designed to be. Ratanjit, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the key to sustained happiness. And we appreciate all of our Zoom guests that have joined us here today, and our radio guests and our internet guests and YouTube, however you are listening to us right now. We appreciate and value you, and hope that we have brought some happiness to your life here today. Ratanjit, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And remember, folks, we're all playing the same game. Have a great day.